Right now, on the continent of Africa, there should be cause for celebration because Africa has achieved something incredible. However, there are dangers in this achievement that could stand in the way of the everyday African person enjoying a better and more fulfilled life. In this video, I'm going to talk about what this achievement is and the dangers that we can inflict upon ourselves if we do not course correct immediately. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video today. If you don't know me, my name is TJ. I'm Nigerian and British mixed, and on this channel, we talk about African geopolitics. Ethiopia has just unveiled the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. This massive structure stands as a powerful symbol of African power, self-reliance, and vision. When you look at this massive structure, you are seeing what Africa can achieve when we take control of our own destiny and refuse to bow down to outside forces that want to keep us dependent. However, this project has revealed some clear dangers that Africa must avoid. Look at what this dam can do. It can generate 500,000 megawatts of electricity, which will literally double Ethiopia's entire electricity capacity. Think about what that means for millions of Africans who have lived in darkness for too long. This clean energy will reduce blackouts that have held back businesses and families for years. It will power homes where children can study at night. It will run factories that can create jobs and build wealth that stays in African hands. It will light up hospitals that save African lives. This is what real development looks like when Africans are in charge. Now, here's what makes the dam different from every other project you see in Africa. This project was funded by Ethiopians and other Africans, not by the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund. No foreign banks came in with their strings attached and their demands for control. This dam is proof that Africans can build mega projects without outside profit seekers who only want to extract wealth from our continent. When we fund our own projects, when we own them completely, when we control them, we benefit from them. But here's where things get interesting. Ethiopia's success has created some serious tensions that could either unite Africa or tear it apart. There are forces watching this situation very closely, waiting for the right moment to step in and take control. Some of our own African nations are worried, and if we're not careful, outsiders will use these fears against all of us. You see, the achievements have created tensions with Egypt and Sudan, and we need to address this honestly. You see, the dam is located on the Blue Nile, a major tributary to the main Nile, which of course flows onto Egypt. Egypt fears that Ethiopia now controls the flow of the Nile River and could use this as a weapon or leverage against them. For Egypt, the Nile itself is life, and they worry about their water security. Sudan is also concerned about how the dam will affect water flow downstream, though Sudan may actually gain from the stable electricity and water flow. The real risk here is that the mistrust will grow if there is no cooperation between these countries. Look at what's happening. The Horn of Africa sits right next to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, which is one of the most important trade and oil routes in the world. Every day, billions of dollars worth of goods and oil passes through this canal. The West already seeks control over this critical route because whoever controls it has massive economic and political power. When African countries in this region fight amongst themselves, it creates the perfect opportunity for outsiders to exploit our divisions and gain influence over us. We have already seen this happening. There was a breakdown of talks where the United States got involved, and Ethiopia accused Egypt of siding with American interests rather than African interests. Ethiopia walked away from this diplomatic table because they saw that outside powers were beginning to be put ahead of African unity. This is exactly what I mean when I say outsiders use our disagreements to divide us and control situations. This is exactly what we see happening when we compare Ethiopia's approach to what's happening in Congo with the Grand Inga Dam project. The Inga Dam project is being funded mostly by external powers, including the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, which approved millions of dollars as part of a $1 billion program. You might think this sounds like help, but in a previous video I made, I already highlighted how Dr. Arikana talks about this as control In fact, she's warned us repeatedly that foreign funding like this risks African sovereignty. When outsiders control the money, they control the project, and when they control the project, they control the profits. What happens with the Congo project? Profits flow to the outsiders instead of staying in Africa. Foreign companies and banks will maintain control over the critical infrastructure. African countries end up being locked into unfavorable terms that benefit the lenders more than the borrowers. This is the new face of colonialism in Africa. It's not necessarily armies and wars, it's loan officers and development experts who promise help but deliver dependency. Look at how different these two approaches are. Ethiopia chose the harder path to self-fund itself, which took longer and required more sacrifice from the Ethiopian people. But now they own their dam completely and have eliminated all risk of foreign control. Congo chose what it seemed like the easier path of foreign funding, but this means they could never truly own their project. Foreign powers might always have a say on how it operates and who benefits from it. Unity is the key to making sure Africa follows Ethiopia's example instead of the Congo's approach. Ethiopia must bring Egypt and Sudan to the negotiating table and work out fair water use agreements. This requires transparency on how the dam will operate and real diplomacy instead of threats or fear. Egypt needs to start acting like a neighbor and stop being a rival. Sudan can serve as a bridge for stability in the region as well, if the three countries commit to working together. Divisions between African countries create a real danger here. Divisions can invite neo-colonial intervention. When we fight each other, outsiders come in and offer to help, often pitching one side against the other. Before we know it, these outsiders are controlling both sides and exploiting our conflicts and resources in order to dominate us. This is the oldest trick in the colonial playbook, and we need to stop falling for it now. What can all Africans learn from this? First, Africa must support Africa. When one African country achieves something great like this dam, we should celebrate that success and stop feeling threatened by it. We should use Ethiopia's self-funded success as a model for Pan-African projects that can benefit the entire continent. Second, we need to break free from colonial borders that keep us divided and fighting over resources that we could share. These borders were drawn by Europeans who wanted to keep us weak by separating ethnic groups and natural resources. When we build unity through shared water resources, energy projects, and trade agreements, we make these artificial borders less important. Third, we must remember that every time we choose foreign funding over African funding, there is a real risk that we are choosing dependency over sovereignty. Yes, it might take longer to save our own money and build our own capacity. Yes, it might require more sacrifice in the short term. But the long-term benefits of owning our own infrastructure and controlling our own resources are well worth the wait. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam should become a symbol of unity, not division, for all of Africa. It should remind us that Africa can rise with African investments and African vision. We do not need outside masters telling us what we can or can't build. We do not need foreign banks deciding which projects is worth funding or not. We have our people, we have our resources, and the intelligence to build whatever we need. This is our call to Pan-African unity and solidarity, sovereignty and dignity. Every time the African country achieves something great without foreign control, it makes it easier for other African countries to do the same. Every time we choose cooperation over conflict, we make it harder for outsiders to divide us. Every time we fund our own projects instead of begging for foreign loans, we prove that Africa belongs to Africans. What happens next in Africa comes down to whether we decide to follow Ethiopia's example or not. We can choose the path of self-reliance, unity, and African sovereignty, or we can continue down a path of foreign dependency, division, and outside control. The choice is ours to make, and we need to make that choice now. I would love to know what you guys think about this dam. Do you think it's contentious that Ethiopia has done this, blocking off one of the major tributaries to the Nile? Let me know in the comments. But if you have nothing to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to write the words, "Africa can build anything"? It just lets me know that you watched the video to the end, you support the channel, you like what I'm doing, and you want me to continue. Thank you so much for watching this video today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.